Okay, so here is my preview of the Dark Ages campaign. So as you can see here, I am on the Roll20 website, and so I have a Dark Ages campaign here. So if I click on this bad boy, we can upload a picture here if we want. It lists the players here. I'm listed as a GM because I created this. And unfortunately, because I created it, I will always be listed as a GM here. We could look at creating another campaign, but I do have some extra features because I'm a mentor. I have promoted Michael to a GM. Other things you can see here is they have a complete chat archive here that you can click on, and you can see the entire chat log from the beginning all the way down. You can scroll through this bad boy. So there's a couple options there. And then you can also launch the campaign, which I'm going to do right now. And this will load up. It takes a little bit as it loads up the resources. Okay, and now we have a loaded campaign. So if you look, the first things I'll go over is you have some navigation here for the map. Which I'll go over the map in a little bit. But the big thing you want to look at is over here on the right. You have your chat window here. The first thing I'm going to do is, because I'm a GM, I'm going to switch to just Callan. And I'm going to go ahead and say hi. So there you go. And if you notice, it links to my character sheet. Now at the top here, we have our chat log. This is our resources, which if we're not using the mini maps, we're probably not going to need that. The next option is the character journal. This has all the characters on here. So this is kind of an important thing. So if I double click on this guy, this gives me my character sheet. Now, the first thing is bio and info, and I just pasted everything in here, spells memorized. I made a cleric, so it has kind of everything listed here. The next tab is the character sheet. I went ahead and used AD&D 1.0 rules. It has roll buttons for things like saving versus rod and staff, breath weapon. So let's say someone casts a spell and I roll a save against the spell. You notice it made a sound there, and this highlighted over here in the chat window. So I can go back to the chat window and it can say, hey, I rolled a 6. I needed to get greater than 15. I got 0 successes. So that's kind of built into this character sheet. Big thing here is I punched in all my stats, added languages, my to hit bonus, my damage bonus, all those things that come from the character sheet going through, just so we have access to that. And then it basically breaks them down into variables down here. The only other thing I added was I added this attack bonus, which is what we use for figuring out our target 20 roll. And then I made some macros. I have this target 20, Warhammer, Warhammer large. These are my weapons against giant, large foes, giant foes. I have hammers for throwing and a warhammer. And then I have cure light wounds because I'm a cleric. Now, I checked these boxes here, which means it puts it in this macro bar across the bottom. So I don't even have to load this up. So if we're sitting here and you say, hey, I want you to attack that guy, I can say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit my target 20 here and hit here. And if you give me any additional modifiers other than my base modifiers, I would put them in here, but otherwise I would leave it alone and I would just hit the submit button. And this automatically tells me I hit an AC of 14. So now, Michael can tell us if that's a success or not. And if so, let's just assume it's a success and says, go ahead and roll your damage for your Warhammer. I'm going to go back over here once again because I put it in here and hit my Warhammer, and I do 5 damage. So, calculates all the rolls for you and everything like that. The last thing that I'll show you on these little tabs over here is I added a critical fumble table because we talked about that once again. I put that in the macro bar down here. So if we do roll a critical failure, I can hit the critical fumble here, and Callan got mud in your eye. You're blinded. So in here, these are kind of generic macros that I put in the bar. There's also a target 20 here that should work for anybody. So but you have to have your character selected for that to work. So, but this is a good basis where you can highlight this bad boy and paste it into your own so that you have it. I also added monster attack, which is easy for the GM to just hit this and say, hey, they have an attack bonus of 1, for example. I can hit here, and that also calculates their target 20. And Callan monster attacks and hits an AC of 7. So that's kind of the basic layout of how the buttons work and things like that. I also have initiative, which just rolls a d6. I remember last time we played, just one side rolled a d6 and the other guys rolled a d6. I also have a d20 in here. I'm gonna do a d20 just if you want a straight d20 roll. And I made a cure light wound, so other people can make whatever specialty rolls if there's a spellcaster or something like that. For the map and minis, since, I don't know if we'll be needing it or not, but what I did here, which I thought was nice, was we could put all the characters across here. This is a mini, it's linked, so just so you can see, if I drag this guy out, it drops him on here, which is the same character. I just resized it, like so, however you want to get it so it looks normal. But it's basically the same character as this guy, and if you look, here is his hit points. And I could subtract 3 from that. If I got hit for 3, boom. Hit that drops down to 5, and then the status bar drops down. So you can see at a glance how your team party is doing. Now, I don't believe if you can't see the character, if you can't interact with them and touch them, you won't be able to see these numbers, but the bar will be present. And then the green here is AC, and that's all controlled here. If I do my settings, I can say this represents character Callan, show the nameplate, so it lists it below, show his armor class in the green bar, and show his hit points, and I put the max here. And the benefit there is, once again, it shows the bar. If you don't have the top, the top level here, it won't show a bar. If we want to do that for armor class, like if we're carrying a shield or not, something like that, we could totally do that. Also on all of these pages, there's also GM notes here that you can put down if the GM wants to write something to remember that the players can't see. And then this is for emitting light and what player permissions are and things like that, what they can see. So we can choose whether or not they have rights to see or edit any of these pieces on the token. So I just thought that would be an easy way to have all the players here. We can also put the monsters here, and then if we don't have control rights, we wouldn't see this, but we might see, if you want to put a bar, we could see the bar as it goes down so that we know that we're actually hurting the monster. Might work good for play-by-post. If we wanted to do a map, we could easily make a new page here. And then if you go here, it'll create a new level. And then once again, if we all have our tokens, we can just drop our tokens here. And then, if you had a monster, we could even say something like this. I want look for tokens. And I would make sure that I am on the token level. And let's just grab whatever. These are random orcs. So let's grab this orc here. So now we have an orc. And, if we want to be simple, we could say, hey, he has 6 hit points, and he has an AC of 13. And he has 6 hit points. Oops. 6 of 6. And represents a generic tongue and orc. And show the nameplate. And you can choose who he's controlled by. And you can say, hey, he's only controlled by, I'm going to say me because I'm acting as the GM right now. So now we have this orc here as a generic bad guy, and we could keep track of where things are, where people move and things like that. So that's the basics. I'm going to go ahead and stop this here. And if you have any more questions, let me know. And I think the big thing is we would just be using this thing here, so as the chat window. So, all right, enjoy.